Hello and welcome back to this channel. My name is Sarah. In today's video I would like to show you everything that I made in the fall season, and this season was kind of slow for me, as in I didn't make a lot, but I had anticipated that in advance and I'm glad I did, and that I'm allowing for a slower pace with my sewing because I don't want to just make things just to make things. I want to make things that serve me and my wardrobe well, but also that fit with the season, and not to feel too pressured because there are a lot of gaps in my wardrobe and there are a lot of things that I would like to make, and then working on them out of season is never a lot of fun. So I do put a lot of pressure on myself to get a lot of projects done in each season, and I'm trying to take it easier. So this season I was able to apply that mentality. This season was especially slow for me in terms of making because I had a lot planned. So I have a really big annual work event that takes place every mid-October in Germany. I work in publishing and it's the biggest book fair in the world for at least European and North American publishers. And so I was there in mid-October, and preparing for that starts in June. So it was a culmination of a lot of work. And so getting home at night after work, I was very, very tired and did not want to sew. And I knew that would happen. So I kept my projects down to 20 minutes a day, or just very relaxed, chill projects. And then a week after I got back from Germany, we were off to the United States, because if you are new here, I am originally from the United States and I live in France. I've been in France since 2009, and now I'm a dual citizen. I live and work in France. My husband is French. And I like to get back to the US every once in a while to see my family and friends before too many things change, because living abroad is complicated for many reasons, but that's one of them. And so this was a special visit because my husband had never seen the fall season in the United States, especially on the East Coast where I grew up. And so that was exciting for him to see, and we got to spend a lot of quality time with friends and family, and that was really amazing. I love being able to go and spend a few days and just do daily, even mundane things, and just spend quality time and not have a jam-packed schedule full of activities. And so that was a lot of fun. And then we flew to Southern California to go see my family, where they've moved. They've been there for about 5 years now, and they moved after I moved to France, after I was an adult. So I'm still exploring Southern California, and it's a lot of fun. And we were able to see lots of family and spend a lot of time with them as well, quality time, and I feel so lucky to be able to do that. And it was an amazing trip. The third reason that this season was a bit slow is that I was working on a very big project, and that is my Brooks jeans, the Brooks jeans patterned by Helen's Closet. I started working on those in, I think, beginning of October, and it took me until the beginning of December. It is currently mid-December while I'm talking to you now. And yeah, that took a long time, but it was a big project. I'm very proud of how it finished, and I made an entire sewing vlog if you'd like to check out that process from beginning to end. And I'm excited to show you that one today, so let's start with that one. These are the Brooks jeans by Helen's Closet, and I made them in a 10.5 ounce recycled denim in this pale blue speck fabric from Blackbird Fabrics. And so this is a Love to Sew baby. If you listen to the podcast Love to Sew, between the owners of Blackbird Fabrics and Helen's Closet. And this is actually the same fabric that Helen used in her sample photos for one of the jeans that she made for the official pattern photos. And so I was sure that it would be the right denim for this project, because I'm still not very comfortable purchasing denim. But yeah, this is a non-stretch denim jean pattern. And I also used the navy and nickel hardware pack from Blackbird Fabrics. I bought that at the same time. I typically don't purchase fabrics from Blackbird Fabrics, just because even though it's amazing quality and I absolutely love them, shipping and customs from Canada to France is very, very expensive. But this was a special delivery. I had it shipped to my sister in Reno, and she came to France for my wedding in May, and so she brought it for me then. And so it was, yeah, a very special delivery indeed. I made the size 0 graded to a size 6 at the hips, and then graded back to a size 0 at the knee. And I encountered a lot of fit problems. So first, there was too much fabric in the yoke, and I had to pinch out a little bit of fabric in the back as sort of a swing back correction. And then I also ended up taking out a lot of fabric from the upper thighs and the inseam, because I think that I should have just kept the inseam at a 0. I'm not sure why or how that happened, but yeah, there was just way too much fabric there, and it was creating very unattractive whiskers at the crotch. And so I ended up pinching about the equivalent of the size difference between the size 6 and the size 0 along the inseam on the front and back legs. And once I did that, it worked out much better. I wasn't sure that these jeans were going to be very comfortable, just because with the difference between my waist and my hips, usually I do have a hard time getting into pants that are not stretchy because the waist part doesn't fit over my hips. These are kind of difficult to wiggle into at the moment just because I've just made them, but Helen does specify in the instructions that new jeans are typically much stiffer at first, and so you have to wash it and wear it a few times before they relax a little bit. So I figured it was normal that they're still a little bit tight today. I still need to wear them and wash them now. But I do think it's a little bit normal that they're stiffer and not as comfortable for the moment. For example, when I sit down, it's definitely very tight. But I need to throw it in the wash a few times and then I think it'll be fine. But I am very happy with these jeans. I think that the shape is very flattering on me, and I didn't have a light wash jean before or a non-stretch jean. It was my very first time, and it was my second time making a pair of jeans. So it's definitely a little bit intimidating making pants in general, because I find the lower half of the body to be a lot more difficult to fit, but I did it and I'm proud and I'm very happy with the way it turned out. So now moving chronologically from the beginning of fall to the end, I made at the very end of September, beginning of October, this Minorque top, and I made it in this lovely viscose in dark blue that I got from Mondial Tissu a long time ago. I think it was one of my very first fabric purchases, which is really cool. I got to finally use it. And this is the Minorque top by Anne Cardilles Couture. I'm not entirely sure how you say her name. I don't know if it's Cardilles or Cardilles, but basically it's a French pattern. It's in French, and I think it's relatively simple, so if you want to use Google Translate to make it, I think you probably could. But I love the shape of it. I have a previous version that I made in a white cotton, and I wear it all the time in the summertime. It's really easy to wear because of the waistband elastic. You can tuck it into high-waisted pants or skirts really easily. Or with a little peplum here, it's really pretty outside of the pants or skirt, like untucked as well. I love the V-neck in the front and the really lovely little scoop neck in the back. And there are these lovely gathers at the shoulders here. The only problem is in my previous version, there was way too much fabric in the front. My bust size is smaller than the smallest size of this pattern, and so there was just a lot of gaping along the neckline for me, and so I ended up pinching out about 3 centimeters of fabric just in the center front and the center back in the pattern, and I made it so it's smaller. So this version is modified, but it is a little bit tight in the arm side now, so I need to go back and fix that next time I make it, but it's still wearable, and I absolutely love this top. I think it's really versatile and really pretty, and I'm excited that I made another version that I can wear, especially in dark blue, because blue is definitely one of my favorite colors and it works in my wardrobe really well. The next project I made is this cardigan. So this is the Blackwood cardigan by Helen's Closet, and I really love the cut and the shape of it. It has long sleeves, and I made it in this double knit fabric from Tissu Emer, which is a German fabric shop. And I'm really excited about this fabric. I've already ordered it in more colors because it's very hard to find a double knit fabric that isn't 100% polyester. This one is a viscose and polyester blend. I think that it is 60 or 70% viscose, but it's also not too drapey. It feels like a double knit fabric and a nice sweater weight fabric, and it's thicker. The only problem with it is that it pills. I don't know if you can see that, but it does pill a little bit in the wash. It's not big pills, but it's definitely a little bit messy. But that's okay. I still absolutely love it. It is super soft, and I think the biggest issue I have with double knit fabrics that are 100% polyester is that you can't wear it more than once. It gets really stinky because it traps odors, it doesn't breathe. Whereas this fabric, because it is majority viscose, it does breathe, and I can wear it multiple times without having to wash it, and it doesn't trap sweat or other odors so easily. And so, it is just amazing, and it's super stretchy. The strange thing about this fabric is that it was stretchier. So typically fabric is stretchiest between selvages widthwise, but this fabric is stretchiest this way. And so I ended up turning the pattern pieces and cutting them so that the widths, so the greatest amount of stretch was going this way rather than up and down, if that makes any sense. I just needed to keep that in mind while I was cutting it out, because I did accidentally cut out a few pieces in the wrong stretch direction. But I needed to turn the pattern pieces so that they were perpendicular to the selvage and not parallel, and that way the stretch was in the right direction. But yeah, I absolutely love this fabric, and I made a second one. So this is another Blackwood cardigan that I made in the same fabric, but in this petrol green is what they call it on the website, in French at least, in the same double knit fabric. It does pill a little bit too. I wear them equally very much because it's just so easy to throw on over a dress, or I like wearing a lot of tops tucked into skirts or high-waisted pants, and this is just the perfect length. Even though there are no buttons, I just love the thick sort of front band, and you don't have to finish the seams on the inside because it's double knit. And I absolutely love this cardigan pattern. I think I won't be satisfied until I have them in all the colors. So I have many more to make. It is one of my favorite patterns to work with. It is very easy and it sews up very quickly, and so it was the perfect palette cleanser in between getting frustrated with the Brooks jeans or being really tired after work at the end of the day. And so I'm very happy with these two cardigans. So that was everything I sewed during this fall season, because the Brooks jeans definitely required a certain amount of time, and I'm very happy that I was able to invest that time this season. It's something that I've been wanting to make for a long time. But I did manage to finish 2 knitting projects. So the first project that I finished around October was this 2 of 1's Cornwall cabled knit sweater. And I started making this, I think, last November, so that took me almost a year. I think it was not that complex, but it was definitely something that I needed to concentrate on, because I do think that I frogged and re-knit at least each line of this pattern, because I was having a very hard time keeping track of where I was and where I needed to do this faux cable stitch or mock cable stitch or not. And it was a bit complicated for me. It was not that complicated to make, and I definitely could see myself making another one. I made this sweater in the Heavy Merino by Knitting for Olive in the Cloud colorway, because I really love light colored knits, especially white or cream or oatmeal, and it's got this sort of light oatmeal sort of color to it. I love how squishy the mock cables makes this pattern. It's definitely very cozy and warm. It is a bit longer, so it's got very, very long sleeves that go down to about thumb, like mid-thumb level, and then a longer hem as well. I like to wear it mostly with the sleeves rolled up a little bit and the hem tucked in. Otherwise I find it a little bit too bulky and overwhelming, especially when I'm trying to do things around the house. The sleeves are constantly getting dipped in all kinds of stuff, or dirty or wet. And so I do roll them up a bit, and it's kind of bulky if I don't roll them. If I just push them up, it's very bulky, but I still like it. It served me very well on the East Coast in the United States, for example, because there were a few days where it was very cold and kind of rainy, and it was just perfect to throw on under my coat and keep me nice and warm, especially during walks outside. I made the size extra small, which finished gives me about 8 inches of positive ease, or about 17 to 18 centimeters of positive ease around the bust and the waist. This pattern is knit top down on circular needles, and it uses principally a size US 7 knitting needle or 4.5 millimeter needle. It was really interesting learning how to make these mock cables. It was a lot of twisting and sometimes a bit hard on my fingers, so my wrists would get a little bit sore and I'd have to put it down for a little while, but it was definitely a lot of fun to make, and especially this squishy sort of texture. I really like it. I really like this sweater. It's very, very cozy. You might have seen it a lot in my Brooks jeans video, because once the temperatures dropped, I really like wearing it at home, just around the house. I'm really pleased with the way this sweater turned out. I think that I would definitely make it again, and I'm really happy that I was able to learn this new method of making mock cables. I like learning a new method every time I do a new project, and that's pretty easy because I'm an absolute beginner, and so I'm constantly learning new methods. But yeah, I really love this project, and I would definitely make it again. The last project that I managed to finish during this fall season was this Carly tee that I showed you the very beginnings of in the fall plans video that I made, which is very dangerous because if I'm finishing these knitting projects so early, I've moved on to another one and they're expensive. But I'm really happy with the way this one turned out. So I made this with the Knitting for Olive merino and soft silk mohair held together. It's the 2 strands held together, and it's the very first time that I've tried that method, which is very, very cool. It creates this sort of very fuzzy halo on the outside of the sweater, which is really lovely. I call it a sweater, but yeah, I suppose it's more of a sweater than a t-shirt, I think. It is elbow length sleeves, but it's cozy and definitely not something that I would wear in the summertime in the heat. It is a little bit too cold to wear it now in the fall and winter time, but I do think that I'll get a lot of wear out of this in the spring and the summer. I think it's a really beautiful color. I used the soft blue color, which is the same color as in the sample photos for this pattern, and I just absolutely love it. It's got this really muted sort of lovely blue-gray, and it's just beautiful. This is knit top down and on US size 7 needles as well, so 4.5 millimeter. And it was the very first time that I did German short rows as well, and I really love that detail at the shoulder. I think that it's really, really beautiful. It's this very lovely shaping of the shoulder, and I think that's a lovely technique. So I'd be really happy to use this technique or find other patterns that use this technique in the future. I think that this was a relatively easy knit. It was a lot of going around and around and around, which was lovely for relaxing on the couch when I was too tired to sew. And it was a pleasure to knit up, and I definitely would make this again. And that is everything that I made this fall season. I'm really happy with what I made this season. I'm really happy with the slower pace that I allowed myself to adjust to. I will link below in the description any patterns or fabric or yarn that's still available if you'd like to check those out. It is raining, and it has been raining for the past 2 to 3 months. I really hope that the sun comes out soon, that the winter arrives and then it gets colder and clearer, because I cannot deal with this humidity and rain anymore. It is now the beginning of December while I'm filming this, but by the time this gets out, it will definitely be full holiday season for you. So I wish you all the best for the end of the year holiday season. I hope that you are surrounded by love and family and friends, and that it goes well for you. I will see you again here soon with another video, and I wish you all very well.